Ayo, what up everyone? So a lot of people asked me to make devlogs or something, so I decided to make some. I believe that when it comes to making the first devlog, I thought I would talk a bit about how to contribute to Hyprland, how to use patches, how to make PRs, how to build everything, stuff like that, so that new contributors can have a tiny bit of an easier way of getting into contributing to Hyprland, because we get more and more people contributing to Hyprland. We currently have 183 people that have ever submitted patches, submitted merge requests, and all of these people had to basically go off the wiki, which has a bunch of info, but it's not very, I would say, extensive. It just shows a bunch of guidelines and assumes that you know everything else. And the information can be a bit fragmented, because the contributing page will not tell you how to clone the repo, because that's something you should have already learned by installing it. Stuff like that. I'll also show you how to bisect, stuff like that. And generally this video should be used as, if you want to contribute, if you're thinking about it, you can learn this and it will show you everything you need to know. Alright, so definitely the first thing is to clone the repository somewhere. So I'm gonna make a quick directory, for example, I don't know, Hyprland devlog, and whoops, sorry, it's 2 a.m. I don't know how to type. Anyway, so inside here we'll have an interactive tutorial. So first of all, we clone recursive repository. It's gonna take a second to do that. Remember to always clone recursively, because otherwise you will not get the dependencies and nothing will compile or work. Right, great, now we got everything and we can change directly to Hyprland, and as you can see we're currently in the repository. We can do git ref parse head to see that we're currently on the latest commit, and now we can open it in your favorite editor. I just use VS Code, this is my local copy, but I'm gonna open this one so we can see. Yes, I do trust the authors. Let's choose GCC latest, so 13.1. As you can see, everything's getting configured automatically. It doesn't matter. My CMake extension does that, but if you don't have it, that's fine. Alright, so first, if you're currently in Hyprland and you want to build a debug version of Hyprland, what you can either do is, hit the build here if you have the extension, or you can go to the terminal and just type make debug. Now this will compile everything. This will compile W roots, subprojects, Hyprland itself. It might take a while, so be patient. I have a not so terrible CPU and it still takes like about half a minute or a minute to do so. Alright, great. Now that it's built, what you can do is, if you're using VS Code, this is only for VS Code users, to make debugging a whole lot easier, you can create a launch.json file here. You can use C++ gdb-ldb. This assumes that you have the Microsoft C++ extension. And now you can here select workspace folder /build/Hyprland. And now you can just gdb launch, and bada bing, bada boom. Magic, you've got Hyprland launched here. Now this is probably not what you'll see. So the thing is, Hyprland in debug doesn't use the hyprland.conf, it uses hyprland.d.conf. What I recommend if you're going to be debugging is to get your Hyprland D conf with all the execs removed, and you can exec sway bg if you really want to, but everything else I would rather recommend you not to. And change your modifiers on your keys to something else. So I use Alt. These are a lot of like test binds and stuff like that. Right. The most important part, although, is setting the resolution for your monitors. So Hyprland will not automatically, I mean, maybe in the future I'll fix it, but for now, Hyprland will not automatically detect the size of your monitor or whatever. So you have to explicitly set the resolution. The refresh rate is actually not important. It will be ignored anyway. But how do you get that resolution? So this resolution is made for my second monitor, right? The one that I have on my left. Basically, if you have a window, if you open it like this, right? If you go into HyperCTL active window, you can see its size, and that's the size that you should probably input here. And that ensures that, you know, everything will be just fine when you move it onto your secondary monitor. Remember to do that on your secondary monitor. As you can see, this is not the exact same size because my secondary monitor I don't have the bar, so the vertical size will be a tiny bit bigger. Alright, now that you got your config, you can basically launch your Hyprland installation, and I don't know, mess around with it, do whatever. I don't know. I have some very weird window rules here set up, stuff like that. So that's why everything is so weird. But that's basically it. For you can debug your features, and since you launched it from inside VS Code, it's very well integrated. So if I, for example, want to check whether my Windows array is valid, right, at any given point here, if I open a window, I can just put in a breakpoint and bada bing bada boom, it will just work. Because it's very well integrated with VS Code. Obviously, you can use NeoVim, whatever else you really like to write your code, but I just use VS Code, well, VS Codium. Now, I would also like to take your attention to the wiki. The wiki also has a page called Contributing Debugging. This is a bunch of stuff, like the packages that you need, how to build, how to run, some of the stuff that I told you, how to nest, you know, exactly the thing that I told you. If you want logs, you have here a grep for the logs, although you can technically read them in the terminal output if you really want to. But sometimes this is very useful for just looking what's happening. Well, you can also grep what you actually want to see. And there's also a page called PR Guidelines, which has a very, very small amount of text regarding how to format. It's not very comprehensive. I also ask people to remove braces around short ifs, but generally this is the explanation for one of the big mysteries that people have when contributing, which is why all the config options, why do they look so weird? So generally, this is also, remember to use Clang format. If you're using VS Code, you can just go into preferences and type in formats, and here format and paste and format and save. If you have the C++ extension, it will automatically format everything once you save or save the file or paste anything. Alright, now that you've got your clone, whatever, if you want to make a PR, then you go to GitHub, Hyprland. If you want to make a PR, you first have to fork. I'm not going to fork because this is my own repository and I have a reason for the fork. But you have to fork, and then you clone your fork. Then you make commits in your fork, and then you can go inside of your fork, go to whatever branch, and it will all probably show you a bar on top that you can make a pull request. If not, you can just go into Hyprland, into the actual Hyprland repo, and click New Pull Request. It's going to ask you where you want it to be based from. Here you should see your fork. That's basically how you make a PR. Now, how do you use a patch? Sometimes in issues I post a patch. This is not so much about debugging, but being a helpful member of society. Sometimes I post patches. So let me find. There we go. Patch. Try this. Please note that no stingy. Right, and I in my downloads, I probably have like a lot of patches. Yeah. So how do you use those? Like, how? So first of all, you download it, and this is really, really easy. You know what you do next? Go here, you do patch p1, and then left less than, and then directory of, for example, patch 38. Hit enter, and it should just work. Then you compile with make release, make debug, whatever you want. The difference between release and debug, I haven't mentioned this, but obviously is that release is faster, optimized, and debug is less optimized, but will allow you to put breakpoints in spots to inspect the variables at runtime, and generally pin down bugs more easily. So I guess that would be it for today's devlog, if I want to call that. I'm going to call it Hyprland Internals or something creative that I'm going to come up with probably in 20 minutes or something. But stay tuned, because my next topic will most likely be plugins. How they started, how they work, how to develop them. I think that one's going to be actually pretty long, because if I'm going to talk about like all the things that plugins, like how they work and all the things that go into writing them, I'm going to be here for half an hour at least. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next time. See ya.